Okay, so I want to welcome you to the first of a series of videos that I am doing for the Top 50 Challenge. The thing is, I didn't want to do it the same way I'd seen other people do it. I wanted to do something different. And rather than just share 50 books, I wanted to share 50 storylines that I think are really special. Now, the rules of this game are always that you have to own the books, and that's where the challenge comes in. There are many stories that I love that I don't own the books yet. A great example would be that original Silver Surfer storyline in the Fantastic Four. I don't own those books, and I probably won't own them anytime soon at the prices they're going for, so they won't be on this list. What I've done instead is to sort of break it into chunks. I'm going to do the first 10 storylines in this video. My goal is to do like shorter 10-minute videos and try to blast through as quickly as I can while still highlighting the books that I love. Some of the rules are, for me, I have to own at least a significant portion of that storyline. The storyline has to have at least 2 books, so I'm sorry to the fans of The Killing Joke, but because it was a graphic novel one-shot, it's not going to count for something like this. It's got to have at least 2 issues to have a story arc, in my opinion. This particular video is going to cover my first 10 story arcs, and they're all X-Men. I wanted to start with some of the things that meant the most to me, and for those of you that watch me on Instagram or on this channel know I love the X-Men. I know I'm sporting an Iron Man t-shirt, but I'm a huge X-Men fan. They were my first real love. I'm going to go chronologically through my 10 favorite storylines from the X-Men, and the first one has to be the new team. This is always going to be my team. These are my X-Men characters. Wolverine, Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler, these are my X-Men. So this storyline starts here, and I consider it continuing through these first few issues in X-Men, where you get to see the team working together and really struggling. It includes a very exciting character, Death, and I just consider it to be one of the most exciting storylines that X-Men has ever produced. There's lots of graphic novel versions, and if you've never read the individual stories, do it, because it's a disservice to miss out on it. I would even consider this to be an issue in this storyline when you see the new and the old teams sort of battle or at least come against each other, and then the dismissal or the leaving of several key characters of the original X-Men. So that's my first one. Second one has to be the Dark Phoenix saga, and I think it's just a really powerful storyline. I don't have any of the actual Phoenix saga. Those books are all over the place right now, and I'm not ready to spend the money to purchase them, and they are a great story. I just don't own them. But the Dark Phoenix storyline, I own several of these books, and I just have always really, really loved it. And it builds so nicely to one of my favorite covers, this one, where you get to see the classic Marvel girl, costume, and you get to see, danger in outer space, and it all kind of, for me, culminates in this issue where Cyclops finally leaves as the X-Men. Now, Cyclops is one of my all-time favorite X-Men characters. I know he's a Boy Scout, straight-laced and everything, but I've always found him to be a very morally strong, yet also conflicted character. So that storyline, I think, is a really powerful one for him. So those are my first 2, chronologically. The third one, of course, has to be the great Days of Future Past storyline. And because it's just 2 issues, it would qualify for something like this. You can't call yourself an X-Men fan and not own these books. Of course, they're everywhere, and they're not crazy expensive. And I think generally anything in that Dark Phoenix run through to these issues, you're talking about Uncanny X-Men in the 30s or 29 all the way through 42. It's just a great run of like 12 issues that nobody should ever miss out on. Dark Phoenix and Days of Future Past. Now we're coming to something that is ultimately my childhood completely, and that is the Mutant Massacre, the Marauders slaughtering storyline. And there are several great covers in this saga, and it includes my all-time favorite Wolverine Sabretooth battle. It's spread over several issues. In fact, this whole storyline covers a lot of issues, and then you get to have Psylocke early on when she didn't really have all her cool powers, and she's sort of having to outwit Sabretooth. It's a really great battle. And it even connects to some X-Factor storylines that are hugely important, like Angel losing his wings. There's even like a Thor issue in this storyline, and Power Pack, which I think you can totally skip. It's a wasted issue. But this is a great story arc with wonderful action and huge consequences for characters moving forward. Of course, besides Angel, you have characters having huge changes to who they are. My next one is another one in that same sort of childhood experience for me, and that's The Brood. This first story, not the first storyline with The Brood, but certainly one of the more later ones, and one of the best in my opinion. You get great Silvestri artwork all the way through, including this. This cover is just lights out. I mean, it's crazy. I get it if you don't like The Brood. I know they're kind of an alien ripoff, but the way they do this in the stories is really powerful. I have some of the early first appearance of The Brood, but this storyline with Silvestri, it's just sick. It's just so awesome. And it's only 3 issues long, X-Men 232 through 234. Really great stuff. Now, my next few books, it's another one where it's like 2 storylines that cover a real great run in X-Men. And of course, I am just an absolute fan of the Extinction Agenda story. This is totally my childhood. This is Jim Lee, like, knocking it out of the park. I mean, this cover is so just absolutely cool. His artwork is in this series is just top notch. And you get so many cool characters doing so many cool things. I will say the biggest drawback is when Jim Lee is not drawing it, this storyline is a lot more uneven. I know you get Rob Liefeld and his cool artwork, and he really does some amazing work as well, but you get his weird small feet drama and all those kind of things. They're not all just cool Cable and Wolverine fighting stuff. And then the real weak stuff is these X Factor covers. I mean, they're not good. They're bad. I mean, this one, for something that's as exciting as these 2 brothers facing off, the way they are drawn, they look like putty. They're really weird. It's just bad. And the interior work is worse. So sadly, those 3 X Factor issues are really not the best. But the story is really exciting. You get to see some exciting drama with mutants being persecuted and having to team together, and it's just really well done. And those issues end, and then this issue, this story begins with Lilandra and the sort of fighting in the Shi'ar galaxies, and it's just really exciting. This is my favorite Jim Lee art sequences, so you get some real fun covers, including this one, which is a fold out. So I'll open this one. I didn't open any of the others. I'm trying to be quick with my time. But this cover is just lights out. It's a really exciting story. I really do enjoy this storyline. It's a bit convoluted, and I totally understand, but the cover work is just amazing. I have this one signed by Jim Lee. It's just so awesome. And then even Gambit comes out looking kind of cool. This is a great fight between the 2 of them. Just a cool storyline. And again, it picks up right after Extinction Agenda, right into the war in the Shi'ar galaxies, and then right into my next storyline, which is Muir Island. I really enjoyed this storyline. Again, the artwork is a big step down because Jim Lee is no longer there anymore, but you get some Andy Kubert, I don't know if I'm saying it right, covers. I mean, this is just an iconic cover. I love the Shadow King, and his stuff with Xavier is always very exciting, and this storyline does a great job with that. So I would definitely recommend Muir Island. And again, you could go from Extinction Agenda all the way through Muir Island, and you're talking about 15, 20 issues of comics that I think contain 3 really great storylines. That brings me to my last 2. So that was 8, I'm on 9 and 10. This is Fatal Attractions. This is a really decent, more like modern, late 90s kind of, or mid-90s storyline. You get X-Force, you get Uncanny X-Men, and you get regular X-Men, and of course it ends with this iconic moment where Magneto finally does what he's always been able to do, which is to strip Wolverine of his metal. And it's an unbelievable moment that then makes Xavier do something very dramatic, which is an unbelievable decision on his part. For me, it's the ultimate Magneto storyline. You really get to see how far he'll go, and then you get to see the sort of conflict in Xavier. How does he deal with his friend? right? The last one is the most modern of my storylines, and it's got to be Whedon. I mean, the guy really knocked this out of the park. When he took over Astonishing X-Men, I think the book was a little bit in disarray. Characters were all over the place. You know, you didn't have Jean Grey. You had Cyclops and Emma Frost together in a relationship. He basically downgraded Wolverine to a much smaller part, which is what Wolverine should be. He shouldn't be the lead. He should be one of many characters. And he really created a quality story. You can get this in a graphic novel version where you have lots of the stories in it. From that, I think it's something like all of them. It might be like all 12 issues that he did. It's a really big graphic novel. Yeah, 12 issues. This is a $30 trade, but you might be able to find it for even cheaper. But the individual issues, if you can grab them, they're really good. It's a good storyline. So this was my first 10 great story arcs. It's the X-Men. I'm going to have more of these, hopefully one a week. You can get a chance to see great storylines. These are the ones I own. I'm sure there are way better X-Men stories that I haven't purchased the issues for yet, like the original Phoenix storyline, which is issues 101 through 108. I have none of those. They're just too expensive for me right now. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like the X-Men and you want to tell me about other books that I might have missed or ones that I need to pick up, these are my favorite X-Men storylines. What are yours? Feel free to like and subscribe and then leave that comment for me for later. Have a nice weekend.